Hello everyone and welcome to episode 9 of the PvM Hub. If you're unfamiliar with this series, it's a collection of beginner-friendly revolution guides geared towards those just starting to learn PvM. These guides aim to teach entry-level players the core mechanics of bossing and will definitely not be optimal, rather a starting point for those in their PvM journey. If you end up enjoying the video, please consider giving it a like, and if you like more than one of my videos, please consider subscribing. I put out guides every Monday and Friday, and I stream on Monday nights. That's enough shilling for now, though. The bosses we'll be looking at today are the Enforcers of Zamorak and the Deadliest Sisters in Gielinor, the Twin Furies. The Twin Furies are a unique boss fight in the fact that the two sisters share one health bar. That means AoE abilities will be key as their damage is effectively doubled. The twins' biggest draw are the Blade of Avarice and Nymora, which are tier 85 dual-wield weapons, and the Crest of Zamorak, which can be used to make the anima core of Zamorak armor pieces. As always, this guide will be broken up into a few parts, all timestamped in the description. These parts will be the recommendations and requirements, setting up your revolution bar, the important facts and mechanics of the fight, and then a full fight breakdown. Getting into the requirements, the Furies only require you to have 80 range to enter their boss arena, as well as 40 kill count to start a session. If you're unfamiliar with how kill count works in God Wars 2, here's a quick rundown. Kill count won't reset when you leave the dungeon like it did in God Wars Dungeon 1. Instead, you can stack it up to a maximum of 200 per boss to be used whenever you feel like it. You can also get more than one kill count per creature if you manage to kill monsters quick enough and keep the combo bar going. This combo stacks up to a maximum of 300% or 3 kill count per monster. You can take faction bounties from Fang in the middle of the heart if you want to earn some extra reputation while getting KC. While the Twin Furies have a ranged requirement, we won't be using ranged here. Instead we'll be using two-handed melee again, as it's the best for AoE. This recommendation may seem a bit odd, but I'm going to suggest 81 attack and then 80 strength and defense as well. We want 81 attack for the ultimate ability Meteor Strike, which is a high damaging AoE ability. Beyond that, we will want a minimum of 60 prayer for chivalry, but 70 would be much better for piety. Like Vindicta, you don't need summoning for this method we'll be using in the video. However, if you want a safety net, you can get either 53 for a Spirit Terrorbird or 67 for a War Tortoise. For gear and supplies, I would recommend around 400 to 500k. My setup for this fight will be the exact same as my Vindicta one. I'm using full Bay Knight armor, which is tier 80 melee tank armor, a Bay Knight two-handed sword, a warrior ring, an amulet of glory, and any cape I can get my hands on. At this point, you should definitely be thinking about trying to go for a fire cape, but if you don't have one, you should be okay. For my inventory, I'm using a set of super potions, a prayer potion, and the rest of my inventory is full of food. Turning our attention to your revolution bar, let's get that set up. If you're unfamiliar with Revolution, it's a system in Runescape that will automatically use your abilities for you from left to right. To take advantage of that, we'll put our strongest abilities furthest left so they get used the most often, weaving in our strongest threshold abilities which require 50% adrenaline. The Revolution bar we'll be using in this fight is the exact same one from my last video, except for 2 minor changes. We will be adding in Meteor Strike and Quake to the end of the bar, but you will want to activate these at very specific times that we'll get into in mechanics. The bar from left to right reads Berserk, Hurricane, Cleave, Sever, Assault, Smash, Dismember, Slaughter, Barge, Quake, and then outside of the bar we have Fury and Meteor Strike. We're also going to do one more thing for this boss. So we don't use Berserk accidentally instead of Meteor Strike, we're going to go into Settings, Combat Mode, and toggle off the ability to automatically trigger ultimate abilities. We will be doing that manually for this fight. Now let's start to take a look at mechanics. The Furies each have their own attacks. Avarice will attack with melee and Nymora with range. The sisters also have one special attack each that they will use in a staggered manner. Avarice will always use her special first, charging in a straight line at the player, attempting to pin them. She will do this 4 times in a row before the attack is over. Simply walk in any direction away from her straight line and she will miss every time. After a few more auto attacks together, Nymora will jump away to a random location in the room and call down daggers to rain upon the arena. If you walk within a 3x3 square of her, the daggers will not hit you and you'll take no damage. You can use this time to DPS the other sister and build up adrenaline for the next phase. After both sisters do their special one time, they will move to the middle and start to channel a nuke ability. While channeling, the sisters will take extra damage and flames will encompass the outside of the room, so you'll want to move in close. Get in between the two sisters and use your Meteor Strike ability or any other AoE abilities you have. Once the bar gets low enough, either Surge or Resonance the hit. Resonance will not heal you in this instance, but instead reduce the damage to 0. Once you survive that, it's rinse and repeat, and Avarice will start over again with her charge ability. Aside from the sisters' special attacks, whenever they group, make sure to cycle through your AoE abilities to get the most use out of them. If you're using two-handed melee, those will be Cleave, Hurricane, and Quake. Let's break this down into a helpful timeline to help organize it a bit better. At the start of the fight, we will focus Naimura. Avarice will jump away and charge at you, and she will do this 4 times. You do this by walking in a perpendicular line away from her charge. After that, the sisters will group for a few auto attacks where you will cycle through your AoE abilities if they're not on cooldown. Then, Naimura will jump away, calling down daggers to fall on the arena. You will walk underneath her and switch your focus to Avarice. At this point, you'll want to try and build your adrenaline up to 100% if you can. The sisters will then group again for a few auto attacks, and then both jump to the middle to charge a nuke. Get in between them and either use Meteor Strike or any of your AoE abilities, and once the bar gets low, leave the area or use your Resonance ability to block the hit. Then rinse and repeat. Now let's take a look at a full kill. Starting from War's Retreat, I teleport to the Al Kharid Lodestone and head south to the Shanty Pass. Talk to the Rug Merchant and set your trip to Narda. Head southwest to the Heart and enter down the hole. Then head northwest all the way up to the very edge and get to the Zamorak encampment. Here you'll pass the threshold and start your instance. If you're unfamiliar with how instances work, at the top right I've left a time card that talks more about it. Heading to the boss fight, I put on Protect from melee and turn on Chivalry, and I focus Naimura. As Avarice starts her special attack, I dodge away and re-attack Naimura. I'll do this 3 more times until her charge is over. I do get hit here by her charge, but thankfully it doesn't do that much damage and I can just eat up and continue the fight. As they group up, I should use my AoE abilities here, but unfortunately I just used Hurricane right before this. Instead, I'll use whatever other Thresholds abilities I have to deal as much damage as I can. As Naimura jumps away, I walk underneath her and re-attack Avarice. Here I should be using single target Threshold abilities like Slaughter and Assault. As Naimura comes down, I use the rest of my AoE abilities, and I try and do as much DPS as I can. Going into the nuke, I will not have enough adrenaline to use my Meteor Strike ability, but that's fine. Instead, I'll use my Threshold AoE abilities and do as much damage as I can here. As the bar gets low, I surge out of the way of danger, and then I re-attack Naimura. A small optimization you can do here is that while Avarice is charging, you will only be attacked by ranged attacks, so you can switch your overhead prayer to protect from range for the time being. It won't do too much, but it might save you some food in the long run. Once Avarice rejoins the fight, I should switch my prayer back to melee, and then I use my AoE abilities to deal some extra damage. Here Naimura jumps away, and I re-attack Avarice. I use Assault here and cancel at the correct time to get extra damage. Once they both come down, I use my Hurricane and Quake abilities, and I wait for them to reach the middle. Again, it doesn't look like I'll have enough adrenaline to use my Meteor Strike ultimate ability, but that's fine. I position myself in between them and use the rest of my AoE abilities. As the bar gets low again, I surge out of the way of danger, and then re-attack Naimura. As Avarice jumps away, I continue to dodge, and try my best to avoid all the attacks. You can see I do get hit by this one, but once again, you don't need to be perfect for this method. As they group up, I use my AoE abilities again, and try and do as much damage as I can in this small amount of time. Naimura jumps away, and I refocus Avarice once positioning myself underneath of her. As Naimura jumps down, I use my Threshold AoE abilities and deal more damage. It once again doesn't look like I'll be able to use Meteor Strike, so instead I use my AoE Threshold abilities and deal as much damage as I can. Even if you can't get a Meteor Strike off, you should still have more than enough DPS to finish this boss, so don't be too worried about it. I use my abilities and then surge out of the way of danger at the last second, and then re-attack Naimura again. You can see that I am running out of food a little bit, but keep in mind that I am using the bare minimum in terms of stats and gear requirements that I would recommend, and I'm still able to get the boss kill. If you have better gear than this, you should have much less trouble. Once again, I dodge all the charges and continue attacking Naimura whenever I can. Here you can see that they group up for what will be the last time, and I managed to get a lot of damage down in this last little instance here. As the bosses go down, I still have 3 Desert Soul in my inventory, and now we have completed 2 out of the 4 God Wars Dungeon 2 bosses. With that done, you can now tune a portal at War's Retreat to take you directly back here the next time. You do still have an hour instance, so give it a few more attempts. I really hope that you found this guide helpful, and if you did, please consider giving it a like. If you find more than one of my videos helpful, please consider subscribing. If you have suggestions for bosses I should do next, let me know down in the comments and I'll see what I can do. I have also started streaming on Monday nights, and I've got some fun interactive bossing challenges I plan on doing soon. If that sounds interesting to you, come check it out at twitch.tv/zingy09. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Zingy out.